it's a complex place we're in, and I want to acknowledge that. And so the best thing that we can do right now, Minnesota has been at the forefront of making sure that we are protecting everybody in that state. And that is making sure that, people know the law and how that applies for them. Because once you know, you have a better chance of fighting whatever it is that is coming down, especially when it comes to, as a legislator, I want to be very clear in terms of creating understanding and boundaries in terms of what I'm able to do at the state level, because immigration is a federal issue, right? Sometimes people look at me and they're like, nimefika, but there are perimeters within my role. And so, but from my end, what we've been trying to do is educate our community, the do's and don'ts.
Just more on what it actually means now. What are you able to do in terms of as a sitting representative in Minnesota, and with the times that we have now with the immigration footprint? How do you, or how can you, what should we, Yani, just help us.
DJ Tumefika, and we are there. Obviously, we are in a situation where, we are having executive orders from the federal government, and that's impacting us, especially as of us who are in the diaspora. And we've seen what those executive orders have done, right? We are seeing an increase in raids. There's stories every single day. Even within my district of Senate District 38A, the city of Brooklyn Park, we have had a couple of deportation and execution by ICE. And so from my end, as a legislator, I want to be very clear in terms of creating understanding and boundaries in terms of what I'm able to do at the state level, because immigration is a federal issue, right? Sometimes people look at me and they're like, nimefika, but there are perimeters within my role. And so, but from my end, what we've been trying to do is educate our community, the do's and don'ts. If you get stopped, what do you do? If ICE shows up at your door, what do you do? And I was able to partner with key stakeholders in our community, working at AG of the Minnesota state. And then that's the Attorney General, Keith Allison, the Hennepin County Attorney General as well. And then a couple of other lawyers, immigration lawyers. We had a town hall to talk about what does that look like? What do you need to do? And then we provided services. And then also, if anything else, if all else fails, people know to reach out to my office, because we have compiled resources for our people, from lawyers to, actual items that you can take with you to be prepared. Because a lot of times what we have discovered, if you don't know the law and how the law can protect you, you put yourself in situations where it'll be impossible to even help yourself. Even if somebody finally came in to help you, it's difficult. So it's a complex place we're in, and I want to acknowledge that. And so the best thing that we can do right now, Minnesota has been at the forefront of making sure that we are protecting everybody in that state. And that is making sure that, people know the law and how that applies for them. Because once you know, you have a better chance of fighting whatever it is that is coming down, especially when it comes to immigration.
Okay. That election night, when you were announced as the winner, walk us through that, because I know there was a lot of very stressful nights, weeks, even months before that night. So walk us through after you voted, the counting process, and then the moment.
Yeah. So like you said, and you have been following my story and the work that has gone into it. I remember 2 nights before election night, I was sitting on the curb at 3 a.m. at an apartment complex waiting for more literature from one of my teammates to bring over. And I was exhausted. And one of my team members took a picture of me. And I look back at that picture and I just remember the hard work that went into it. And so, we went all the way until 8 p.m. that night. That's when the polls were closing. I remember dropping somebody off at 7:59 to vote. And so going into, that night, I was extremely exhausted, but optimistic. and hopeful. But then again, I was also reliving the trauma of 2022. Remember, I ran for Senate in 2022 and I lost.
And you lost, yes.
So in my head, I'm like, hey, yes, the momentum is on our side, but the 2022 trauma still was in my mind. You know, this time was different. The energy was different. So I'm walking up to the place where we had our watch party, and my team was outside lined up, just like last time, you know. So that gave me that lived anxiety all over again. But this time around, it was different how they approached me, you know. And I remember my campaign manager giving me a big old hug, lifting me up and saying, we did it. All precincts have been counted. You did it. And I just couldn't believe it. I remember my mother and my father, I had driven with them. You know, my mom, this is now a Kisii woman, right?
Yeah.
She ran around the parking lot praising and thanking God, singing in Kisii.
Oh, wow.
And people thought she had lost her mind.
Oh, wow. In celebration.
You know, in celebration with tears. And my dad was just, he fell on his knees, and I don't know what he was doing. But ultimately, you know, it was just a testament of what we've gone through the last couple of years. Not only myself, I'm talking about the people who supported my campaign. Because a lot of times, my brother, when a candidate is running, you see that candidate as the figure of their campaign. But what a lot of people don't realize is the support that they have behind.
There's a whole machinery.
It's a whole machinery behind that candidate. And so it was a testament of their work. It was a testament of their sacrifices, because most of these people, I couldn't afford to pay them what they were worth. So it was also a win for them, and of course the community, and the realization that, you know, I have won and I'm the first. And that whole thing of being the first, I didn't realize about. I didn't know about it until Tom Guitar from Mushale.
Yes.
He's the one who called me several times. I missed his call, and I was like, he never calls me like that. So I answered the call, and he goes, "We have been doing our research. You are the first." And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean I'm the first? And when he broke it down, you are the firstborn, I was also in shock, because we as Kenyans, we've lived in this country for how long?
For a very long time.
For a very
time.
time.
Yeah.
For a very long time. I've been in this country for a couple of decades now. And to hear that I am the first in this space was definitely something that, you know, to this day, I'm still humbled by it. So it was just a testament of the hard work that we put in. And also just a reminder that we have a long way to go.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We have a long way to go. And of course, that's HULDAH Momanyi Hiltsley. Number to call if you want to speak to her. She's now Representative HULDAH Momanyi Hiltsley. You know, like I even have to remember to call her that. In Kenya, we use the term mheshimiwa, but that term mheshimiwa is sometimes very corrupted and used even for people.
Corrupted.
Yeah, it's extremely corrupted.
Everybody understand. Everybody in Kenya is mheshimiwa.
Yeah,
they are all mohesh. As long as if you ran or if you have money,
or as long as someone is trying to ask for money from you
are
call
mohesh.
Yes. Yeah. But again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We want you to engage. We want you to talk to HULDAH. We want you to ask her any questions. This might be your only opportunity to speak to a U.S. government official. Like I said earlier, in this situation that we're in, if there's an emergency here, she'll be picked up and the rest of us will be left to fend our way, because she's now... could we call you a U.S. asset, or that's going to be a bit extreme, or that's going to sound...
We let people determine.
Okay. All right. Yes. And here Mwakisha is saying true, whole machinery of people behind success. So that's very good to know. Now, another thing, HULDAH, is how was the transition from the campaign trail to now going through that orientation towards going into office?
So nobody tells you that there's a transition. A very it's a switch. You have to make a switch, right?
Yeah.
So you are over here in your mind as a candidate running on a platform, ideas and dreams that you have for your community. But then, Maze, when you are now elected, these people here don't play. On the 7th of November, we were at the Capitol doing orientation. When does orientation happen in Kenyan politics once you're elected? Want to take how long?
Because between the elections and in the US, the elections, there's a big gap between the election night and when people are sworn in. Because I know the presidency goes all the way to around January 20th, and these other offices, it's January, early January, the first week
but
of
keep
January.
in mind, now that I'm on the other side, keep in mind, there's a difference between, once you win, you become representative elect, right?
Yes.
Between that period, the reason why, at least from my experience, is
Or
because
in Swahili, we
there's
call them mteule. Rais mteule.
Raisi Mteule.
Yeah,
I
so
like that.
that's why Mimi Mteule, there's something I'm waiting for. We don't know what it is, but it's coming. But
It's
anyway,
coming.
yes.
So during that time, there's a lot of administration stuff that needs to happen. Obviously, the team on the ground has to make sure that everything is laid out, ready for you to come and assume office. So by the time you get sworn in, everything is ready. Your office is ready. Your team of, whether that is communications, everything, your desk, all of that stuff is in order. So, and then also as a candidate now, representative-elect or, official-elect, there's a lot of orientation that you have to go through, right? So November 7th, we had our first day at the Capitol. That was the initial welcome to the House. This is what this is, because sometimes some of us have never stepped a foot in that place, right?
Yes.
And so from there was additional orientation where we went on a retreat. And so by the time we got sworn in, I believe for us it was January 12th, and obviously you're familiar with what went on in Minnesota, where the Democrats, refused to give the Republicans a quorum because of everything that happened. So we set out for 3 weeks. And so for us, that was an additional time to really get acquainted with everything that we needed to get ready. And so by the time we get sworn in, we are ready to literally jump in and start drafting bills and start, making legislative decisions on behalf of the people who elected us.
Okay. All right.